fellow Americans. I have some breaking news here for you today. The date is November 8th, 2016, and the 2016 election results have finally come in. The long-awaited battle between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton has finally been put to an end. I would like to announce that Donald Trump is our new president. Hello, Zeke Nagaoka reporting on the aftermath of the 2016 election. Before moving on to more of these points, I would like to get a political expert's perspective on the election and also the history of Hillary Clinton, sharing some points on why she might have lost. Can you share your perspectives on why Hillary Clinton might have lost this election?
Hi, I'm Ramjot Kaur here. I'm a political expert on this topic. After analyzing the topic 2016 election and Hillary Clinton, I come to the conclusion that why she might lost. Some people argue that she lost because she's a woman. No, that's not true. She lost because she's a problematic figure. So that's why some Americans can't trust her. She lost because of the reasons just like a Benghazi attack and an email scandal. Benghazi attack. In the Benghazi attack, as US outpost was attacked by a terrorist group in Benghazi, Libya, and the 4 Americans were killed. Many accused her of making the attack seems random when it was a planned terrorist attack that could have been prevented as there was a request for more security and safety for the soldiers. Email scandal. Investigations on the Benghazi attack led Clinton email scandal. It was uncovered that Clinton was using her personal email to communicate classified information. This was a problem because government officials are required to use a government email and private accounts, so enemies could not take hold of private information. Overall, this part of Hillary Clinton's past created a bad outlook on her that was hard for Americans to overcome. Her email scandal was a big part of controversy that surrounded her and still talked about today.
This concludes our breaking news section. Thank you for that insight, Dr. Ramju. It was interesting to see how things have panned out. But we'd now like to take a further look at this and more discussion as we look at the background, controversy, perspectives, and interviews, just explaining how things have gone in this election. As we dive further into this analysis, it's important to look back on some of the debates and things that both of these candidates would say to each other, just getting an idea of how the controversy reflected onto the rest of America.
You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women and attacked them viciously. 4 of them here tonight.
He has said that the video doesn't represent who he is, but I think it's clear to anyone who heard it that it represents exactly who he is. But he never apologizes for anything to anyone. He owes our country an apology, and he needs to take responsibility for his actions and his words.
But when you talk about apology, I think the one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted and that you acid washed. And then the 2 boxes of emails and other things last week that were taken from an office and are now missing.
Well, Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the fact.
And look at her website. You know what? It's no different than this. She's telling us how to fight ISIS. Just go to her website. She tells you how to fight ISIS on her website. I don't think General Douglas MacArthur would like that too much.
The next segment, we're continuing the subject of...
Well, at least I have a plan to fight ISIS.
No, you're telling the enemy everything you want to do.
No, we're not.
See, you're telling the enemy everything you want to do. No wonder you've been fighting. No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
Folks, go to the fact checker.
Controversial is just one way to describe this election. A seemingly inexperienced Donald Trump, who was new to the world of politics, sought to overthrow former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Both of their pasts, such as the email scandal and his sexual allegations, were used against them. Their debates seemed to be long and yet frustrating, but this would be the start of one of the most historical times in America. With these factors in mind, it is best to look at the history of both candidates. We will be passing on to our next expert who will be sharing his perspective. On the contrary to the history of Hillary Clinton, he will be sharing information about Donald Trump and his ability to connect with certain groups of people, but most of all, the Marxist values that are present in him. Hey Zeke, thanks for having me on the show today. I'm glad I could be here. My name is Rich Piana, and I'm a well-known entrepreneur. I started my own business, and I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm a founder of my own company, like I said earlier. But in these ways, I connect to a businessman like Trump who is trying to do better things for the economy. Overall, I feel like he won because he connected to the working class. A lot of these aspects were shown through his ability to express his views in a way that really spoke to them and spoke to their needs. He promised them a better life, a life without a life without a lot of taxes, other things that limit their ability to thrive, in an economic sense. Because at the end of the day, especially in America, everybody wants this in life, some money. But mostly not just money. It symbolizes just being able to succeed and further grow in life. Trump promised a lot of these things, but like I said earlier, his ability to not be one of those normal politicians that everybody is used to. He decided to portray himself as kind of like the average Joe in a sense. Him being the average American. The way he spoke, he did not, as one study from Harvard states, that he spoke in a manner of like offbeat. It was a caps lock world of mixed syntax, offbeat grammar, slang, exaggerations, pet phrases, and most of all, he had the us versus them contrast. He liked to say, "We will win this election," not "I will win this election," and everything he expressed in an unfiltered manner about controversial issues or shocking statements that he made. It was all things that the working class complained about. His complaints were just an expression of what they would say. So this was, these studies show that he had a great interest in just building a relationship with these people. And he also was a problematic figure in a sense too. Based on all of the controversial statements he would say about people of color, and most of all his sexual allegations that were made towards him. Him saying certain things about women. It was very present throughout the election. But the working class decided to look past these things because they wanted a better life. And he said that he could give it to them. Hey Rich, those are some very intriguing points you made. I can see how Trump was able to connect with wage-earning citizens/Americans. I think his definition of making great America great again revolved around a lot of these values that you discussed of building a better life and, a stable economy. After reviewing your response and this aspect of the election, we decided to go off into the streets and find a wage-earning citizen or working class voter that might have voted for Trump and overall see why they did this. Hello, I'm here with a working class citizen who participated in the 2016 election. We're going to get his response on who he might have voted for, but also reasons why he voted for that person and what they want to do for the country.
Well, I'm more of a moderate, but I voted for Trump because he's for the working class, in my opinion.
Hello, I'm with another working class voter, and I would like to get his thoughts on election and who he voted for.
I voted for Trump, and the reason I voted for Trump is that he was working for us. He took and he reduced taxes on a lot of us. The Democratic Party, they do nothing but increase the taxes all the time, which doesn't work for me. He also made the government more functional, but I think he did a great job when he was there in 2016. He was probably one of the best presidents we ever had next to Reagan.
Awesome. Thank you for that response, sir. I appreciate that. Those were some very mind-opening comments coming from an economic stance and the Marxist lens. It is also important to identify any cultural aspects and stigma surrounding this election, as it was very present. I would like to pass it over to our next reporter, Nadia Wolf, as she will be covering this part of it. Miss Wolf, please take it away.
Hello, this is Nadia Wolf reporting in. I am a cultural analyzer, and today I would like to discuss the 2016 election, which had a profound impact on America's society. It genuinely was an election that divided this country. In a research on anti-Muslim hate crimes published in September, Levin of California State University discovered that in the 5 days following Trump's controversial Muslim ban announcement last December, anti-Islam cases increased by 87.5%. A huge part of Trump's campaign was border security and immigration enforcement, which became his presidency's central issues. Politico magazine says that they are able to measure the effects of Trump's immigration policies, making it obvious that he is the worst president for the border security in the preceding 30 years. At the moment, the border is being overrun by an overwhelming number of migrants. The number of people detained between ports and entry increased to 66,450. The 2016 election also brought light to America's severe cultural divisions. It highlighted the obvious differences between rural and urban areas. These splits were frequently depicted as a conflict between conservative and liberal ideals, with topics like identity politics, immigration, and gun rights igniting spirited debates and influencing over voter preferences. Trump's campaign rhetoric, which was frequently criticized, played on feelings of nationalism and a longing of the great America of yesteryear. On the other hand, Clinton's campaign placed a strong emphasis on diversity, inclusion, and the prospect of advancement for unrepresented groups.
Your cultural views and research are noted, Ms. Wolf. Now it's time to take a look at a citizen's perspective who may have other views in mind. Looking at the aftermath of the election, I also want to get voters' opinion and why he voted. Can you please share your response?
Sure. In 2016, I voted for Donald Trump. One of the big driving reasons why I did was the immigration and the border was a big part of that discussion. And even though it kind of was not the popular opinion in my family or amongst my culture, I voted for Trump because I believe his plan for tightening up the border was a good thing. I have lots of family who have come across the border of Mexico and the United States who come on a regular basis, and it's extremely violent, it's extremely dangerous. People that just want to come across to visit family or to work, because of the drug cartel activity and all the human trafficking, it's extremely dangerous for families and for kids, and I think Trump's plan was going to be better for that. But it's interesting because it was not the popular opinion amongst my family and some in my culture, but my heart was for safety at the border, so I voted for Trump.
Great. So culturally speaking, there was a lot of motivations and things that led you to that final vote. So that's great. Thank you for your response. Appreciate that, sir. In conclusion, the most important aspect of this election is seeing how people and society perceived it, especially in America today. You want to look at it through a Marxist aspect, then you can see the social classes and how these things affected them, such as social economic equality and things of that nature. You can also see the cultural aspect, how races and different groups of people were affected by its outcomes. Third, it is also very important to look at the history, seeing how both of these candidates past have determined the way that they are seen throughout the election. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this and have a better understanding of the things that are involved with the 2016 election.